Hello and welcome to the Band of Weary Travelers Valentine's Day one-shot. We all put together special, sensual characters over the last week to bring the love. I'm just playing, we're gonna kill orcs today.
Woo, orcs!
I mean, you give me 2 minutes, I can make a sensual character.
Are you telling
I wanted to do that all week. Character? I was really looking forward to this. Okay.
So we break for 2 minutes?
No. I just wanted to catch you off guard.
Captain of the Varsity football team.
God.
All right. Cool. Welcome to session 38 of Primordial Harmony, a retelling of the Elemental Evil story in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. I'm Mike, the host and DM, and I'm joined by...
I'm Nyx, and I play Ilaria. She's a Wood Elf Ranger with her pet panther, Valora.
I am Senna, and I play Delia the Gnome Wizard.
I am Kitties, and I am playing the Bard.
Hey, my name is Miles. I'm playing the least sensual character, Jedias Oznov, an Asamar Seeker.
And I'm Zaf, and I'm playing Zachariel Vitelos, lover of women, his wife, and Shovel Knight Extraordinaire.
Shovel Knight Extraordinaire. Alright.
The only one in the land.
The only one in the land. When we last left, the excavators. We picked up with the party moving on after slaying a band of orcs. After dusting themselves off, they continued in the direction as advised by Londok Bulwarker.
Let me go take care of that.
After some time, they came upon the first river crossing, but before they could cross, they were beset upon by horrible plant monsters, which they proceeded to chop to mulch. Continuing on, the party began to cross the swamp Londok referred to, mucky, muddy, difficult terrain. The better part of the day was spent schlorping through the waters and fighting off giant constrictor snakes. Dark fell and the party wasn't through the swamp yet, so they made camp. After having a delicious meal of swamp frogs, the party laid their heads under the comfort of a tiny hut. However, during the night, the party was startled awake by a loud thump against the hut, and then another, but it seemed to quiet itself and cease. That morning, just as the party was stirring awake, as Zachariel was donning his armor, and the tiny hut began to shimmer and fade away, a massive frog-like monster arose from the water and attacked the group. After a fierce battle, where it nearly one-shotted Delia, but didn't thanks to Renwick's modifications to her staff, and Zachariel being swallowed whole, the frog behemoth was slain. The rest of the day was spent trudging through the swamp, Zachariel cursing the entire way. But just as the sun sank over the trees, they made it out of the swamp and back onto the firm dirt of the forest. After rinsing off, it was short work for the party to find the shrine that Londok spoke of. They began to set down for another night, when the woodsman of Conadir's forest stewards named Randir came upon them. Introductions were had, and Illyria informed Randir of their purpose in the forest, to find a brightleaf tree that would be the burial site of Altoci. Randir was happy to help, being a wood elf himself, and in fact knowing Illyria's father. A brightleaf tree was but a day's travel away, but the party would come to learn that in the middle of the most direct route there was an orc encampment, a clear-cut area that a small tribe had taken. Randir offered the party a means to gain rapport with the group of stewards he is aligned with in helping him eliminate this tribe of orcs. After some back and forth about the nature of orcs and if killing them unprovoked was justified, the party agreed to help. The next morning, Kythorn the 7th, Randir began to lead the party toward the brightleaf tree, with the intent to stop at the orc camp along the way. During the first leg of the trip, Randir talked strategy with the party, informing them of what he knew about the camp, having scattered it out earlier. We pick up right in the middle of Randir, Illyria, Delia, Hum, and Valora sneaking about in the trees, only a few feet from the clearing. So,
So we can see the orc camp?
Yeah, so to recap on, in a less cinematic way, of what we've been doing, I'm going to take you guys to the page because it makes sense for you to be able to see most of the camp from where you are anyway, and I've hidden what needs to be hidden. But the way your tokens are, you'll see this in a second, the way your tokens aren't accurate to where you are in relation to each other. So give me a moment here. Let me make sure that the stream can see it. It's a big map. So there we go. So you guys can see yourselves. So you're in the tree line, you're hidden away. You can see behind this tent, I mean, you could see it as you were sneaking around. This group here looks like they're sort of in the middle of a training exercise led by this one. So, to reiterate what you saw in the tent before you, let me see here. So, you saw a couple of sick looking, like they're laid out on their backs, and it looks like they're moving very slowly, so you get the impression that they're probably sick. These two. And then, sort of sitting down, but not seemingly laid out, are these fine fellows. And then looking at them, their bodies are covered in these nasty green cysts, and it looks like it looks like if you poked it with a needle, it would burst. And then finally, you see one orc tending to them, who's kind of messing with herbalist supplies, or what you make to be herbalist supplies, and it looks like he is just tending to them. So, what do you do?
So I whisper to the party, I want to throw a spell,
What do you have in
but I need to be close. I have a spell called Fear, and when I cast it, it'll make these guys see the thing that they fear most.
How close do you need to be?
It has a 30-foot radius, and it's in a 30-foot cone.
So, you guys aren't exactly where you are. I would say you're about, well, close enough. You're about, maybe to make it more accurate, whoa, not selecting. Make it more accurate, you'd be maybe about here, on the very edge of the map, but that's as accurate as we'll get. So, you're probably not grouped together like that. So, how do you think you're grouped together? I just want an idea.
Well, I'm on Valora.
This looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Okay.
I feel like we'd be in a tighter group, maybe shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, and
Oh,
5
yeah,
foot,
for sure.
5 foot squares and all that, not exactly accurate. So, we can work with that.
I'll need to get closer.
Rendir is kind of stroking his chin as you're saying this, and he says, I like where you're going with this. However, those orcs in there, they're separated for the tribe for a reason. They're all sick. That one in there that's tending to them, he is he's the tribe doctor. He says, perhaps you mentioned the fear spell, right?
Yes.
He says, perhaps they may be better saved for their warriors.
Well, I was hoping maybe we could cause a commotion and have them all come towards and then throw it.
Well, why don't we make maybe a little bit of noise, draw them out, they'll come out one by one, pick them off.
You want to draw them out from the tent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's an idea. Anybody else got any other ideas?
I'm wondering if we shouldn't just try to sneak around this tent. The injured and the ill are less likely to come out. If we went
true.
around and quietly and drew the gentleman in the practice over, I could throw the spell at.
It would be better to pick off the warriors first. And I can make minor illusions and sounds and stuff.
Randir, what do you think?
He says, drawing them close to here, that's a step, it feels like. But he looks to Delia and he says, a moment ago you were, oh no, perhaps not. He says, well, a moment ago you said that you had a fire spell.
I do.
He says,
I could actually probably hit all of the warriors from here.
He says, you perhaps can, however, you might hit the tree as well, and I worry about that. But around the tree and around the clearing, how large is this spell?
Well, it's about 40 feet across.
And he kind of
20
looks.
foot radius.
He looks ahead and he kind of calculates with his fingers. He says, do you think you could aim it sort of to encapsulate some of the tent, but not all of it, so that it would be away from the tree line?
I could.
But what would keep it from going through the whole tent at some point? How would we put it out so it wouldn't get to the tree?
He says, no, that is a fair point. I was worried about an initial catch from the flame, but you're right. And that's his input.
Illyria, you're a sharpshooter. Could you just take out the doctor?
Is there like a clear view from it? From where we are to the
From-
doctor?
Not exactly. You'd have to move a little bit to get a line of sight. Like, you see him, like, walking about, and the that entrance represented on the map, that's where the entrance to the tent is. So from where you are, Illyria, it would be, you don't have clear line of sight. Like, he keeps kind of moving in and out. So you'd have to get a good shot at the entrance. And where you are isn't exactly that. So you'd have to move.
Yeah, so I'd have to move like right in front of the entrance, you're saying?
Not right in front of the entrance, but to get an angle to where you'd have a line of sight.
Okay, so if we moved over there, okay.
I'm worried, though, that if it doesn't incapacitate the doctor immediately, that he would alert the rest of the encampment.
If he alerted the rest of the encampment and they all came running towards us, I could throw fear at them and have them all scared.
How does the tent look like at the bottom of not the non-doors? Is it pretty flush to the... Like, is there a way for them to get through under?
I mean, crawling under, yeah, there's a way. It's sort of off the ground, and you could probably tug it up a little bit. It's not completely flush with the ground.
Because I was saying, if we make a little fire at the entrance, they could easily get out still.
Randir looks at Illyria and he says, "Do you have spells too?"
I do. I'm thinking, how can I use them?
Well, he says, if he says,
I've got silence, but I don't know if I should use it on the doctor area or
he says
those
that
guys.
he says that's not a bad idea. He is a spellcaster. I've seen his the kind of he kind of puts his hand or he puts his arm around your shoulder, Illyria, and then he kind of makes you lean forward and he says, there, when he passes by like the threshold of the entrance, and he says, look at his hands. You see those white gloves?
Oh, yeah.
He says, those gloves are made of... He looks disgusted at what he's about to say. He says, those gloves are made of elf skin.
He will die.
But stow your anger for now. But the point is, he can channel magic through them. So, silence isn't the worst option for this tent. How many times can you do it? He's asking how many times can Illyria cast silence.
2 times? Is that right?
Is it? How many second level spell slots do you have?
2.
Okay. So, he says, I mean, it's certainly worth the effort. I can't think of another good time, although they do have a, priest in their midst as well. I'd seen him doing healing magic.
I do have a couple of spells that affect an entire area that don't light fire to things. Like
You cut out, say that again?
I have spells that are area of effect that don't set things ablaze, like shatter.
He's looking at you expectantly to explain. Do you explain what shatter is?
Yeah, it's basically thunderous energy that, it hurts anything in its radius.
Is it loud?
I don't I don't know, because like if you throw silence and then you use shatter,
You're a wizard.
because it's from a point you can see.
You're a wizard. You would know that in silence, creatures are immune to thunder damage.
I did not know that.
You know it now.
Okay, well, never mind then.
Did Tobias send your Darnik?
I believe he did. Miles?
Yeah, I have you, Darnik.
And Tobias is watching us, right? Can he hear us through him?
Yes. Is Miles here? Or is he still taking care of the... Oh, uh-oh. Miles, oh, alright. Whoa.
Microphone work? There
It
we
does
go.
now.
Yeah, I think it got unplugged underneath my feet. Yeah, I do have Eudarnic there, and I think I get to choose between sight or hearing.
You get both.
Oh, if I get both,
You're
then
thinking
yeah,
of
I can
clans.
listen in.
You're thinking of a different spell, yeah.
Yeah. I can't talk to them, though.
No, you can't.
I also have sleep.
And I have
How long does
Hypnotic
sleep last
pattern.
for?
Minute.
Until the. I'm reading right now, sorry.
I have a question. With my animal messenger, I can send a message. Can it come back as a message too?
No, it doesn't say you can do that.
Just a one way?
Yeah.
It lasts 1 minute.
Okay.
So I think at this point we just need to make a decision of what we're going to do. We
Silence
have lots.
for sure.
I feel like Render says he looks down and he looks at what armaments you all have, and he says, I believe silence is a smart decision for this. If we want to eliminate all of them, we can quiet the tent, and we can simply pincushion
Pick them off? Sounds good to me.
Alright, so he says we should move about 15 feet to our right.
Agreed, then I can get a good line.
He looks at Delia and he says, do you have any precise spells that are not fire?
Well, I have magic missile.
He nods. So he starts to move to get a better angle. 1 second. I actually need to pull up a sheet. Let's see here. Yeah, go ahead and make stealth checks. And I need one for Valora. Alright. So looking at the, you look at the tent, and as you get over there, and you're in the trees, just as you like get to where you are, or get to where you're going, you see the doctor is looking like he was looking at the tree line, and then he starts looking back at one of his patients. I'm going to pull up a bunch of sheets now.
I'm gonna whisper, are we all ready to do this?
Should we focus on the doctor?
My thought is we take him out and we'll be a lot better off.
Because I can target up to 3 people.
Randir has his arrow knocked, and you didn't even hear the pull of the string, and he says, I'll be aiming for the doctor as well. And actually, I like this. Before we do this, let's cut back to Tadias and Zachariel, who are like a ways back away from the clearing.
Tadias, what are we waiting for?
I don't hear him.
Tadias.
don't hear him.
I figure like Zachriel is now poking at Tobias.
How'd you know? I start poking him on the back, like nudging his shoulder.
I sever the hearing and say, "What?"
What are we waiting for?
It looks like they're trying to cast the silence spell and eliminate part of the outpost.
Are there more warriors in the back?
Looks like it. There is a tent with some, a doctor and some infirmed. And further in, there is some of their warriors.
Well, we probably shouldn't worry about the sick. They're quite useless.
I don't have the most confidence that this would go quietly, so as soon as we hear things, we'll move in.
All right, well, I'll take the first floor on the left, you take the first floor on the right.
Easy enough.
All right. I'll cut back to the sneaking crew. All right, so how do you open it up?
I'm asking everyone, are you ready?
Ready.
I'm ready to go.
What's the radius of silence?
20-foot radius.
Two.
Okay, I'm going to cast silence.
All right. It is cast.
And then I'm going to shoot at the doctor.
All right, go ahead and...
Is that with advantage?
Absolutely. And Randir is also going to shoot at the doctor.
I'm gonna pull my wand of magic missiles and send 3 charges towards the doctor.
All right.
And I will cast magic missile at 2nd level and have 3 of the darts go to the doctor and then 1 to another guy.
All right. Give me a second here. What the heck? Okay. So he's also getting an advantage. He's gonna shoot. Alright, he hits. Yeah, roll your damage. So we're gonna put that to back. Alright, so 6. Jesus. Okay. Hold on a second. But also and then okay. So 16. Stand by. DM's calculating. What? Okay. And then the magic missiles. Okay, so you riddle him with arrow shafts and bolts of force, and he crumples. You just see him crumple down, and
See? Dead.
the two. And so what happens next is the two kind of weirdly cyst orcs. They kind of their attention is immediately they're on alert immediately, and they start looking around. You have another beat to do something.
I'm going to shoot again.
Who are you shooting?
So I'm going to assume that I don't have a line of sight on the other two. Not those guys.
They're sort of laying down, and you had a line of sight on one of them when you were over where you were before, and it was this guy. But now,
But not any. I don't think anymore.
but not
Just,
not anymore. Like you can see his like he's laying on like you can see like the tip of his foot basically.
Okay, I'm just gonna go after. I think I can see that guy in my line of sight.
Draw a line and we'll see. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna aim my other arrow at him.
Okay. And Randir is going to actually go for the other one. Because at this point, you guys aren't talking. We're in quasi-initiative. So, go ahead and make your shot. What's Hum? Actually, before you do that, what's Hum doing?
Hum has pulled her crossbow and is holding it, ready to go and shoot at one of the guys, whomever doesn't fall.
Okay. What is Delia doing? Anything?
Probably more magic missiles.
Who are you going for?
The same one that Illyria is going for.
Got it. All right. So go ahead and Illyria and Delia, make your shots for me.
Now, is it with advantage? Or
Yeah.
no?
They still don't see you because they couldn't hear you. If they could hear you, then your position would be fulfilled. But because of the silence, they didn't hear you, so they don't know where you are. So 8 force for that one. Okay. And then that's a 20. All right. Give me a second here. So 8 damage and 13, and then Randir is gonna go. Really? I don't know why this is happening. Okay. I'm going for the other one. Okay. So after resolving all that, neither of them fall, but they start to get alert, and they look out from the tent. What do you do, Hum? And then
I'm gonna step forward and who did they hit? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
that one and that one.
I'm gonna step forward and hit this one.
Can you point them out again? Okay. That's a hit.
And then I'm gonna send my second blades.
Alright.
Or do I need to?
Nope. Well, I mean, yes. You would need to. It was your intent. You kill him. It was 2 hit points away. So that one. So the next thing that happens. So you strike that one, and you can see its mouth open, and it's probably screaming in mental anguish. However, it does that for just a moment before you see. His entire body just ruptures and explodes, and it fills the entire tent with this nasty liquid.
Ew.
And I need
Oh.
roll me. Okay, so yeah. That one is very fucked up. That one's dead, and then. Passers fail or say okay, so you can't see it, but these two are also toast. So it just leaves this one who's barely hanging on. He looks around, and now I would like Hum and Illyria and Delia to roll perception checks.
Well, did Delia do anything on that kind of second go around?
Yeah, I did. I helped you kill the one dude.
And this is for Randir. Wow. DM's rolling way too good. Alright, so Illyria, 19 is plenty. Out of the corner of your eye, you see this orc way over here starting to look over, and she sort of like is motioning to one of the orcs with her, but that's all you can see at this moment. This one is starting to walk out, and they get to about here. In that moment, what do you do?
I say, I think we may have been noticed.
Yes, I noticed that as well, Randir says.
Let's take care of him and go from there.
Hum just throws a magic missile at him.
Alright. That also kills him, and again, his body ruptures and covers the tent in more of that refuse. And so Randir says, quickly into the trees. Roll me some stealth checks, if you're following him. That's a 21. Alright. So, unfortunately, well, you'll find out what that means later. So you guys are back further into the tree line. Maybe about 30 feet. There's not much visibility into the clearing. Randir looks over and... are you still concentrating on silence? Illyria?
I'm gonna say no because we've taken them all out.
Okay, so you start to hear growls and orcish tongue as you hear footfalls, and he says, "Let us round to the other side." All right, so now it's going to be a little harder. What are you guys going to do right now?
Well, are we gonna go meet up with the guys again?
That's up to you.
You can always just talk to my little fly thing and we'll go in there.
I think we should head back to the guys. We don't want to get cut off.
Let them know that we've been spotted.
I don't know that we've been spotted, but they see the commotion, so we should get away from this spot.
They're
Zachariel.
on guard right now.
I think they've been spotted.
Oh, were you not listening again?
Well, I was listening to you. I was looking through them. They shot all the infirmed ones, but then just walked into the woods.
Why are we killing infirmed orcs? I mean, that seems a little ridiculous.
We're going over to the guys.
Did you not hear what
you-
I said a moment ago? Were you listening to them?
I'm hopping in and out. It's hard for me to pay attention.
Okay, but Tadias,
Come on, right
this
here.
camp seems very few in numbers. Is it just me, or does it seem like the Guardians are either culling their numbers or committing genocide on a population of people?
It's hard to say. This could be an outpost. It couldn't be like the entire herd of them.
I guess you're right, but I don't think killing sick, defenseless people is the right course of action.
Of
So-
all the people in this party, I'm surprised that you would all of a sudden get compassionate for orcs.
I mean, humans commit just as much atrocities as...
Yes, but we have the decency to sometimes, say we're about to do so. Usually a letter, strongly worded, then armored troops walking in on your doorstep.
Do these orcs look armored?
Yeah, some of them have armor.
Yes, well, perhaps if we teach them to the right, they could send a letter before...
Ooh, perhaps you should go down there and see if they want lessons.
Perhaps I will. Be better than sitting here in the forest like a cow.
Are you just disappointed you can't go stab them yourself?
No, I'm kind of wondering why we couldn't just circumvent this entire...
You'll have to talk to Randir about that. He's the only one that knows where the tree is.
Yes, and an elf with a hard-on for orcs. I'm sure that'll be easy to...
Yes.
History check. He said you could go around if you wanted to. He did say you didn't have to.
Stop ruining my roleplay, DM!
Alright. So that's gonna kind of botch the whole thing. So, you guys get to about here. Oh, man. And you're not concentrating on the silence, so I'll just delete that. Randir's with you. And Illyria, for just a split second, misjudges her step, and there's like a little bit of a commotion of brush kind of moving about because she stepped on just the wrong branch. Randir looks back, then looks back into the clearing, and from where you are, you can't exactly tell what's going on. You can roll perception checks if you want.
Yeah, after that fall, yeah, I'm gonna look.
Alright, so, Illyria, at least, you can tell that the orc that's sort of leading the training exercise, he is looking in your direction now. And he kind of, like, moves his head like, huh! And all the other orcs kind of stand at the ready.
Quick, someone make a frog noise.
A minor illusion of frog noise.
Okay, that happens, and, ribbit. And, they all sort of continue to stand ready. That doesn't seem to dissuade them. But they heard...
frog hemeth and all.
Right. Randir kind of looks back like... That was what... Like, he doesn't say anything, but you can see in his eyes, like, that's the sound you chose? And then he just continues back to where you guys left Zachriel and Tadias. So, for one more leg, make another round of stealth checks. Alright, so Randy was the one in behind that one, so we're gonna do a thing. I gotta deal with a lot of sheets.
A lot of sheet.
A lot of sheets.
You can
also,
just close some of those orc ones, and you'll be...
what the heck? Okay. Okay. So you guys make it back to Tadias and Zachriel. So you see them coming back.
Just out of you, Darnik. I see you took out some of them.
110 down. But I think they know we're here.
Randir says, and it seems like the other tent doesn't have the entrance facing the tree line. So, pincushioning them is out.
So
Hold on, guys. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you have to BRB?
Hey, Mike.
What's up?
When we were up over here, could we see anything in that tent?
Yeah, you saw a couple figures kind of crouched down. Roll a what's the word I'm looking for? Roll a retconning perception check. This will just be for the how many.
Just a perception check?
Yeah, roll a perception check. Just to see if Illyria could tell. Okay, so looking in that tent from, like, glancing at it, the amount of orcs you saw in it, numbered 6. That was a good roll. So 5 of them were sort of crouched down, and one of them was sort of standing. That's all you could make out, though.
Okay, I'm gonna let the guys know that. Yeah, there's about 6 in the tent down there.
Why don't we just have Udarnik fly over to the top of the tent and see if he can look down? I mean, they're not going to attack a dragonfly.
If you'd like me to, do you want me to just gauge numbers?
I'd just like to know if they're sick or not. If they're sick, we can leave them alone. No sense killing defenseless types.
Zachariel, I don't think you understand. 2 of them popped.
And I don't want to catch whatever they have when they...
It is a fair thing. Zachariel does get right up in there with them.
I think checking out what's in there is a really good idea.
I'll try to see what I can see. I'll tell Udarnik to go fly over and check it out.
Alright, so Udarnik goes over there. While Udarnik is looking at this, the rest of you can sort of see these orcs kind of start to fan out. And they're starting to get eyes on the rest of the tree line. From where you are, you are behind cover and some darkness. So you don't see them sort of look in your direction. Udarnik comes over here, flies over here, and sees these dudes. Tadias recognizes another orc priest that the party had fought at least two other times, with a group of what seems to be pious orcs, just sort of doing some sort of ritual or some sort of religious either service or ritual.
Okay. Do I see any more pussy, sick-looking orcs?
No, they all look healthy.
Alright, I'll just kind of put them back into the zone. I'll say, it looks like they got most of the, ones that may look sickly. Most of the rest of them look like warriors, priests, various other things like so.
I need them to get back in together so that I can cast my spell.
I mean, we can lure them into one spot, but my only worry is we get around them, we're likely going to be trailed.
I mean, I could lure them all into one spot, but is your spell going to hit me?
Yes.
I can make a sound or an image of an object somewhere where we want them bunched up.
Can you make an image of Zachariel?
A short Zachariel.
A very short.
5 foot tall, Zachariel.
Randy, how many of these do you need to kill for your quota?
He says, well,
We are killing all of them.
Okay, let's not be hasty here.
he says, her anger is justified.
One of them was wearing elf skin gloves.
Have you ever seen elf-skin gloves before? Did you go up and hold them? Are they
I ain't going in that tent.
Nandir says, this is a thing that their doctors do. It's the same as the priests that pull eyes out of their quarry and wear them.
I mean, waste not, what not?
Taking these guys out will also help the loggers.
Randir, he looks like he's actually doing some calculations in his head, and he's thinking about, the location of where you guys are, and he says, in a sense, yes, they'll be able to expand back, fill up this. Indirectly.
When you said it was an orc camp, I was expecting a number of, around 50 or so. This is, there might be 20 here.
I told you before there were 20 here.
I was eaten by a frog, sorry. I've been having a rough couple of days.
So, Zachariel, you're saying it should be no problem taking these guys out.
I mean, I'm sure it will hurt, but I mean, we've fought orcs before. We've fought entire Noel warbands in greater number than these.
What's the ratio of like orcs to gnolls? Which one's more dangerous?
Well, considering those gnolls used proper tactics and had their archers hidden on a ridge, I would say orcs fanning out in a clearing. Yeah.
Hum gives a sigh of discontent.
I think it's just an eventuality. If we're going to get what we're going to get, we have to either circumnavigate these orcs and hope they don't trail us and attack us in the night, or we deal with the problem now.
Zachariel, what would this band of orcs do if they found us? They would murder us.
I imagine they would attack us for being in their home, yeah. That makes sense.
I for sure do not want to become.
Everyone also
pups.
remembers that a band of orcs ambushed you just when you entered the forest. That did happen.
Yes, but we are entering their territory. If someone entered my territory and I was a feral savage, of course I would attack.
Just letting you know. So what's your move? They sort of inch closer to the tree line.
Zachariel, would you like to go reason with them?
I think that might be out of the case, and I don't appreciate that sass, but whatever we're going to do, we better do it quick.
Should I make an image of short Zachariel?
Well, I'd say since you're all hell-bent on killing everyone here, we should fireball that tent. Get it right in there.
Randir shakes his head. That's too risky.
And we can put out a fire.
He says,
Is there water? Around
there's
here?
a small pond, and he points to the tree, behind the tree. But do any of you have a bucket?
Zachariel, I'm not sure we could put out an entire forest fire if it were to
listen.
get out of hand.
Alright, I'm gonna look around, and I'm an outdoorsman. I've traveled by myself doing jobs.
Yeah.
Would I know that, like, fresh foliage does not instantly explode and cause a wildfire?
You do. But you also know that, like, an ember hitting a tree, that's one thing. But a massive magical fire is something else entirely.
And what does the underbrush look like? Is it covered in leaves and
This is an unkempt forest.
right.
This is an unkempt forest. There is a lot of fallen branches and leaves on the ground, dry leaves from previous years of the cycle of nature. This is why it was so useful to have Illyria with you, because she was able to guide you through the undergrowth and the rough terrain. So what is Delia doing? What are you guys doing?
I mean, I don't want to do anything unless we're all on board with what we're doing.
Should we just
Well-
pass them by?
Well, it looks like they're all headed in different directions, so we can pick one off by one, like this one coming towards us.
No, they're fanning out and searching. They're in a proper formation. The man over there in the middle, underneath the tall tree, is watching out for the rest of his soldiers as they fan out, searching for whatever caused the disturbance.
But when this one soldier comes into where we are, we can take him out.
And we will have literal moments before the rest of them realize that one of their comrades has gone missing, if we can take him out without causing any...
Should I make an image of like a cat or something that would have made the noise that we had made that alerted them?
Cats. Would I have heard the noise that they made with this image? Probably not.
What noise?
Because didn't Delia make a noise up here with her spell?
Oh, she made a frog noise.
To cover up Valeria's stealth
It can be
roll.
as loud as a scream, so yeah, I'll say, yeah, you heard a random frog croak.
Or what about a deer? You usually see deer in the forest.
How many deers and
Elk.
cats broke?
You could make an elk noise.
Will I know what an elk sounds like?
Likely.
It's not pleasant.
Do you know what an elk sounds like?
Randir sees like this situation deteriorating, and he kind of just whispers to Delia, "They sound like this," and he goes, "Mrrr!" Like quietly.
Okay, I'll make an elk sound. As far as I can get, because it's like it's 30 feet, so it would be probably right around here-ish.
Okay.
Just as loud as I can.
Okay, so you do that.
And then the sound of it, like, trampling through the grass.
Okay.
Because it lasts for a whole minute.
Got it.
Like, away from them.
Got it. Okay, so you make that loud, obnoxious elk scream sound, and the sound of it trampling away. And, what's your spell save DC?
15.
Alright. This is how I will do that. Alright. So, you see the one with the sword in the middle, at the tree. First off, all of their attention is drawn to that location, and the one with the sword, for a second, he seems skeptical, but then he just raises his sword and points in the direction, goes, "Ugh!" And they all start to head in that direction. So it's gonna, they all sort of dash over there. So it's gonna take about, it'll take a round for them to get all enclosed. What do you guys do in that time? I don't want to roll initiative quite yet. What do you guys do in a round? So you get an action, movement, all that.
I put myself in place to cast fear towards them.
Okay, how does that work?
So it's a 30-foot radius, 30-foot cone.
Does it originate from you? Where's the point of origin?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to put yourself in position, so go ahead and roll a stealth check. I'm just going to conglomerate them. Okay, so they're all concentrated, and what's their passive?
What
Okay.
about the sky down here?
Ah, yes. Big map. Okay, so they all conglomerate up to here, and they're about to peer into the tree line from where they are. So, and they're all kind of clustered like that. So get where you're getting, because they don't notice you. Put your token where it's gonna be. All right. You said 30-foot cone?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me get you a nice template. Purple, because fear. I would imagine you know what you're doing, so I'm just gonna make this optimized for you. Like that, yeah? Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so that you cast fear. As they're sort of looking, so what does that look like? And right after that, we'll probably roll initiative. The worst fear is each creature in the foot cone. See, move, drop whatever it's holding. Frightened or frightened can't take must take the dash action and move away from you by a safe distance. Okay, all right. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's your spell save?
15.
6, 7. All right. So they all fail. All right. So we're gonna roll initiative now. I have a lot of initiatives to roll, so give me a second. Also, I didn't hit the record button, so guess who's downloading the VOD? Me.
Rip.
Rip. Okay.
Joy is here, though.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
Hey, Joy.
Alright. So, this one drops its shit and dash. What's the speed? Okay. And runs away from... Yeah, it runs in this direction. And then that one's still praying. That one's still praying. That one also runs away. And let me make sure that this is... Yeah, it's being... that one's still doing his service. That one's still running. That one also drops its shit and runs. That one... Alright, so, at this point, confused at what's going on, the guy with the sword, they all have great axes, but this one has a long sword. He runs over here. And he's going to roll a perception check against your stealth, which was 13. So I'm going to do that real quick. Oops, wrong guy. Alright, so he's looking, and you think he might have seen you, but he's like sweeping the forest, and he's going to spend his next action doing looking. So we're going to keep going. Illyria, do you want to do anything at this point?
I'll just have my bow ready.
Okay, what are you readying for?
If he's gonna see us.
Okay. He is getting close to the tree line, and like he's probably like up about here. Like he's really close to Hum, but for some reason he can't see her. So okay, so you're just gonna ready an action, sure. Ready an attack. Okay. That one also screams and runs away. Hum, it is your turn now. The guy is right on you, and he doesn't know you're here. What do you do?
I'm going to cast Blindness Deafness at him.
Hold on. Remember, that's concentration. If you drop concentration on fear, then they stop being feared.
Shit. Realizing that I'm all by myself and nobody's going to do anything, I'm going to throw a magic missile at him.
Okay. Just one charge?
Just one charge.
That's 15 damage, solid damage. Alright, so he sees where the light came from and he sees you. And he looks back at the three orcs that are about to run, And then he just kind of shouts really loudly in Orcish. And I'm going to start the combat music now because we in this. Anything else you want to do with your turn, Hum?
That's all I can do right now.
Alright. Zachariah, it's your turn.
Alright. Where I am right now, is it difficult terrain?
Yeah. Because you're hiding behind brush and stuff. So until you leave the tree line.
30. Alright, I will attack this orc
Okay.
by shoving him.
Yeah. Athletics, strength. Hey, you want to know something?
Yeah.
He crit, but you still beat him.
Oh!
So he's prone.
Shovel.
That's a hit. Alright. That's a hit. Solid damage. So, smack, smack. He is sort of like starting to struggle to get up, and he calls out again angrily.
That's it for me?
That's it for you, okay. This one leaves the tent to assess what's going on. Sees the leader dude on, or not leader, but the martial one on the ground, taking strikes, and he is going to use the bonus action to approach aggressively. He gets too bad there. That's all he can do. Tadias.
Well, I don't want him to feel like he doesn't get any attention, so let's just move right about here and throw some stuff at him.
All right.
And I think that's within 20. Yeah, it's within 20, so no disadvantage. So, I guess first attack Brazier.
Hit. 10 damage.
Let's chuck a hand axe after that.
That's a hit.
And then I think there's like just a weak spot right in his knee that I'm going to try to nail at. He's dead!
His whole weak spot is his body as he crumples.
Well then.
You slice off
Fine.
like... you cut off like a good part of his neck, and he just kind of crumples. And your weapons fly back to you. Anything else?
I guess I'll just bonus action dash and get over here. 20, 25.
All right. This one is going to... Wait. Yeah, this one is going to come out as well. He sees what's going on, and he's going to take the rest of his aggressive action movement to get up to there. And he sees Tadias. And... Oops. No, what? Thank you. And he's going to chuck a javelin at you. But it just lands at your feet. Alright, this one is still feared, so he runs away using the dash action. That one begins to walk over here, wanting to know what the hell's going on. Sees that, sees Tadias, and the martial captain dude on the ground, and he's going to use the rest of his aggressive action to get up here. And he also, with the javelin, hurls it at you, but also misses, and it sticks in the grass. Another feared orc runs away in fear. And this one comes over here. Oh, I need to check her sheet actually real quick. Okay. She's going to come out here, and then wait, one more step there. Sees what's going on, and then I need to make a measurement. Sees Tadias, And she lifts her hands up, and this white light streaks toward him. But 16...
That'll miss.
That'll miss. Alright. So, you see a tree in front of you, Tadias, just glow brightly for a second as a flash of light hits the corner of your eye and then the tree. That's their turn. Alright, any more feared orcs? Nope. Alright, this one's going to begin to approach. Aggressively. And is also going to hurl a javelin at Tadias. 21!
Let's use a shield.
Alright.
Since I have all my spells.
So it pings off of you, falls to the ground. The last feared orc fearly runs over here. And that's his action. Oh, another one. I don't remember moving him. I don't... Oh, okay. That, I guess I moved him by accident. So that was his turn, and he moved up there. Delia, it's your turn.
Okay. Did I see this one cast the white light thing?
Roll... Let's see, from the trees. Roll perception. You saw the white light come from her direction.
Okay, so I'm gonna send a firebolt at this guy.
Okay.
Because the other guys are too close to the tree line.
Alright. And unfortunately, that is a miss, as it just kind of hits the grass. Psst.
I'll tap my staff on the ground and do Blade Ward.
Alright.
And that's it.
Alright, give me a second here. I need to read Fear again. Must then move in the safest room. Wow, alright. Perfect. Alright. So this one is going to enter the tree line, and then he's gonna roll a whiz save against your spell. Alright. You can't see that. That's for me only. Alright. This one comes out down here. This one comes out of the tent. Also is very aware of the commotion. Gets up to here and hurls a javelin at Zachariel. It's pretty much what they're doing. Misses. One more is going to do the same. Sees their dead companion, hurls another javelin.
Mike,
What's up?
did you roll for Grenadier?
Oh, I didn't. Dang it, I knew I missed that. I knew I missed something. Thanks for reminding me. Alright. So he'll take a turn and then another turn. From where he is going to move over to here, and he's going to take a shot at the orc here. Because he can't see him, it'll be with advantage. For 15, just enough. Damage. That much, and that much. So 12 damage. And an arrow sinks into the side of this thing, and the side of this orc, and he starts to limp a little bit. Alright, that was his turn. Alright. Priest dude comes out. Sees this whole nonsense. Takes his aggressive action over here. And then, what can he do? He is going to cast a spell. And it has an effect that you cannot see yet. But you can probably tell from the token markers. And that's all he's gonna do. That's an orc that's feared. There. A sight. Okay. Same deal. You see the orcs that you feared start to disappear into the tree line. Okay. This one in the tent comes out and uses his aggressive movement, gets up here, tosses a javelin at Tadias, who just can't be hit. 18 misses, right?
Yep, now it does.
Alright. Finally, the monster that, or the martial guy that Zachariel knocked down gets up, and he is going to try to lay into Zachariel. Let's see. Alright. 17.
That's a miss, all repose.
Alright.
Miss.
That is a miss. He seems to be wearing this hacked together chainmail. His next attack is a 16, which misses. He then calls out. He cries out, pointing to Zachariel and Tadias, and as a reaction, these three are going to make a weapon attack against Tadias. So let's see here. That will miss no matter what. Natural 20.
I get it.
That's going to be...
Shield just couldn't take any more.
That's going to take 9 damage.
Alright.
And then one more. Misses. Alright. That's all he can do. It is your turn, Illyria.
I'm gonna cast Silence again over in that area.
What area? Over there? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get you a template. Like in that area?
Closer up, like there.
Okay. And I believe that's your action, so anything else you can do? Movement?
Well, I can do a second.
You can't do any more spells, you used your action.
No, I mean I can still shoot my bow.
No, you can't. You used your action.
I have 2 actions.
You have 2 attacks with an action. That's how it works.
Oh, okay.
Turn over?
I guess I'm done.
Alright. Hum.
Hum is going to pull her rapier and she is going to stab at this guy in front of
Alright. That's a hit.
and she's going to use Psychic Blades.
Alright. Roll that damage. Alright. Cries out in mental torment, but it seems like he's got a little bit of fight left of him in him as he raises his sword. It's not his turn, though. Alright, this one, tree line, and then, Okay. Randir's turn. He's going to silently move about here, and he's going to take a shot at this one that he wounded earlier. Hits and goes right through the neck, and that one crumples. Alright, that one's dead. Zachariel, it's your turn.
This warlord-looking guy still standing?
He is still standing. He looks like he's going to wind up for another strike.
Let's see if he's still standing after this.
Ooh. There's no way he could do that, so he falls over again.
Alright, how does he look?
He looks... or that's the wrong one. He looks fucked up.
Alright, I'm gonna basically, like, paddle him.
Alright. Yeah. It happens exactly as you wanted to.
That was, Non-lethal.
Oh, it was non-lethal. Okay.
Yeah.
There's the sleepy one. All right. Anything else?
Great. I moved down here. I can't quite make it, but I'll just throw a javelin the 5 feet there.
All right. That's a hit. Okay. He goes.
And that's it for me?
All right. It is silent in here, you find. Tadias.
All right, let's go help out Zach. And I will attack, I guess, this one first.
Okay.
I'll improvise that.
All right.
Press it again.
Much better. Hit. 8 damage. Okay. That's a miss.
And bonus action, I think I'm gonna hit my my belt for the Zephyr Strike.
All right.
And then I'll just move over here with the last bit of my movement.
Okie doke. That orc. Tree line, out of sight, save. Okay. That orc down there. That Zachariel threw his javelin at, walks up to him, and is going to attempt to great axe him. 23 to hit.
That hits.
13 slashing. And that's all he can do. Tree line. Oh boy. With save. Misses. Okay. Wow. This is... Fear's an interesting spell. Very interesting spell. That one's dead. That one... What is this referring to? Oh, that one. Alright. This one gets into the fray over here.
But useful, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Just runs right up to Zachariel and is going to charge him with a great axe attack for 10.
Miss.
Your keen eye. This one, I'm going to advance up to here. And is going to... going to send a bolt of white light toward Tadias. 18 to hit.
18 will hit me.
All right. That's going to be 9 radiant damage.
All right, I'll reduce that.
That's right. And that's all she's going to do now. That orc up there. Tree line. Save. Okay. All right. Elia.
So, is this group of orcs with Zachariel and Tadias far enough from the tree line that I could get off a fireball?
20-foot radius. Yeah. If you positioned it like right here, you're pretty confident that it would be fine.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
All right. Whoosh. Dex saves.
Oh god, fireball does work.
Let's see. Dex. He saves. He takes 14. Nearly dead, but not dead. That one is toast no matter what. That one's going to make its save. What's your spell save?
15.
Oh, he still does not save. So he is toast as well. That one is toast no matter what also. This one might live. Does not live. And finally, the priestly priest. Does not save. That's 28 damage. Dried up. Alright. Quiet fire. But I think the silence was actually here. So, that happens. Anything else?
I'm gonna get further away. I can only go 2 squares, but...
You're on Valora. Do you get off Valora?
Yeah.
Okay. Valora's just kind of looking at Illyria like, I want to do something. Orc up here. Alright. Turn. You see an orc appear out of the tree line. And he's actually, because he's got aggressive and the dash action, so he's going to get up to here. And that's his turn. That one is dead. That one is dead. Alright. That one is dead. Okay. Priest dude's turn. He is going to advance out of the silence. And he doesn't know where that came from, and he's quite angry. So he just looks at the nearest target, which is Tadias. And he's going to try to hurt you. Tadias, a spectral weapon appears next to you. And it's really weird looking, but it's going to slash at you. 15.
15 will miss.
Alright, that's all he can do. Actually, he's going to chuck a spear at you, because that was a bonus action. 15 misses also. That's all he can do.
I'm not scared of you or your thermos.
Alright. Gets further away. Rolls a whiz save. Okay. Another one, same thing. Further away, whiz save. Alright. Okay. Dead. Knocked out. Illyria.
Okay, I'm going to focus on that guy there.
Alright. So...
I'm just gonna shoot twice, I guess.
Alright, you have advantage because you are in cover. Sharpshooter working for you. Hit. Okay. Oh, actually, the next one won't have advantage because they'll know where it's coming from. So it's going to be normal. But it hits. So these 2 arrows... Boom, boom, into her. Screeches out. That's it for you. Anything else?
I think I might move up with the gang over here.
Okay.
And have Valora come with.
Got it. Alright. Hum.
Hum's gonna step out of the tree line and aim herself at this lady here. Well, no, I should. How far should I go? Hold on. It's rough terrain, though, right?
Exiting will be 10 feet of movement. But then once you're out, you're out.
She's going to go ahead and exit, and then she's going to take a shot at the girl with the glove.
Alright. So you get closer and you notice she's not wearing gloves. Those are claws. Very long claws. That's a hit. 7 damage. Alright.
And that's all she can do.
Okie doke. Alright. Gets out of the tree line and aggressively comes back this way, but that's all he can do. And Deer is going to take that opportunity. We don't need this cone anymore. Is going to sort of just move here. I'm going to roll for him. Alright. And then he's going to take a shot with advantage at this one. Whoa. He trips. And that's all he can do. Zachriel.
Alright. This guy next to me, I'm gonna shove him.
Alright. What'd you do that? 12 versus... He stays standing. And that is a miss. That's a hit. 12 bludgeoning. Is this lethal or non-lethal?
I mean, I can't really hear anything in here, so I'd say I'm probably a little disoriented. So I'm just smacking him with the side of the shovel to try and, like, brain him, I guess.
Alright, so it's trauma, and he falls over. Didias.
Alright, let's go get this thermos lad.
Hit.
And I think that gets a D8 from the, what's it called?
Zephyr Strike? Zephyr
Strike, yeah.
Alright.
So I'll just use that die because it's easy. Next attack, since I'm using it in hand, I'll attack the rest here again.
That's a miss.
I think I still got one more improvise. Do I? Yes, I have one more, so I'll use my last one.
That's a hit. That's a kill.
Put him down! And all the rest of them are just running in fear in the corner?
So the ones... Wait. So the ones that I have on the map, they're separated based on how far into the tree line they are running. Because of the way the spell works. When they get out of line of sight, which is like a bunch of trees, they get to make a whiz save. So the ones that came back, you see that I marked them with red, they pass their save.
Gotcha. Then I will bonus action dash and get some tree cover.
Alright.
That'll be it.
Okie doke. That one. Further into the tree line. Save. Save. Makes their save. Starts coming back. I think I missed him, so he must be like up here. And that's their turn. Dead. Where's this one? Hold on. Oh, okay. Further into the tree line. Save. Saves. Gonna be back in about 3 rounds. That one's dead. That one is going to run toward Hum. Wait, what's her speed? Alright, she's gonna get up to here. And she points her hand at Hum. Hum, I need you to make a wisdom save. Alright. That is not enough, so you are cursed. On your next turns, you have to roll a whiz save, or you have to spend your action doing nothing. And that's her turn.
Okay.
That one makes his way out of the tree line, gets to here. That's all he can do. Delia.
Alright, I'm gonna cast Shatter at these 3 here.
Solid.
Wait, hold on just a sec. I might not be close enough. I'm not.
Darn.
Okay, so... I guess I will send some magic missiles at
This
This-
one? Okay. Alright. Okay. So, she raises her hand at you, and you feel your chest kind of tighten, and you feel like your brain kind of turn to mush. But then you see these arcane bolts fly and smack into her, and like the concussive force just obliterates her ability to function, and she just crumples, and that whole wave you just felt just lifts. However, this one... Anything else, Delia?
no, I think that's it.
Alright. Going to run toward Hum. Just as that lifts, this one comes running toward you with a great axe, very angry that you feared it. 24 to hit,
Hits.
15 slashing.
Did he pick up his great axe? Because he dropped
Yeah.
his weapon whenever he was feared.
Alright, well then that's just an unarmed strike. So instead of 15 slashing, you take 4 bludgeoning. Thanks for
Thank you,
reminding
Delia.
me. I'm going to
You're welcome.
also... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are their axes. That guy's dead. Is this guy... Oh, he still has to make a save. Alright, so he gets further. Save. Does not make a save. That
He's
one
really scared.
is making his way back. That one is sleeping. Illyria, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm going to get Valora to do something.
Alright.
So she's gonna come down there, and then she's gonna come over, kind of jump over Hum onto that one in front of her.
Oh, I love it. I will allow this.
I feel like Hum hears a Valora coming and kind of ducks so that she can get over her.
That is a hit. Needs to roll. Alright, he is prone. We'll say that Valora's here for the sake of mapping. And, she can make a bite attack, yeah. Oh, roll the damage for the attack. Well, for both of them now. 10 and 8. Alright. So just as this orc comes up to Hum and, like, palms her, like, right in the chest, just, like, bruising her a little bit, she stammers back. She sees Valora just jump over her, pin this guy to the ground, and just bite out his neck. And he's dead.
So is she on top of him then?
Yeah, we'll say that. Because you certainly did kill him. Hum, it's your turn.
Do I still get one more?
Oh, yes, you do. You do.
And these guys are headed towards us, right?
Absolutely. They look like they're heading
Okay.
toward their weapons.
I am going to shoot at the first one,
Yeah.
and I'm going to use one of my poisoned arrows.
Solid. That is a miss, unfortunately. The arrow sinks into the ground. And it sort of sees where that comes from, and as it is its turn, it's going to run toward where its perceived enemy is.
Or was it able to see me? Did
Well,
it
no,
know
it sees-
where it was
it-
come from?
It knows where the
Hum
arrow came
doesn't
from.
get to go.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Yeah, Hum, it's your turn.
Hum wants to do something, and I'm going to ask you if she can. She sees all their weapons.
Yeah?
Can she, like, run around seeing that she's close enough and, like, collect them?
That is iffy. You could pick up at least 2, but I thought you were going to say something else, and I want to tell you what I'm thinking because you're going to like it. Look at the Thunderwave description. Although, thinking about it more might not be the most use to you. You can pick up at least 2, if that's what you're thinking.
I think that's a really good idea. But she'd have to get closer.
Oh, no. Thunderwave can push unsecured objects.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, she's going to use Thunderwave to push these weapons.
You'd have to
She's
get
going to run forward
Okay.
about here.
Yeah.
And then turn around and cast Thunderwave towards
The tree line?
the tree line
Yeah.
and push the weapons into the tree line.
Awesome. They don't get a save, so they just kind of end up in the yeah. Awesome. So, Hum's here. Can you move her?
Yeah.
Alright. Now it's that orc's turn. Seeing what you did there, is going to run up to you, and actually, there's something that they can do that I forgot. So he's going to try to attack you, first and foremost. Oh. Okay, so you hear his footfalls. He rolled a 1. How does Hum gracefully dodge?
She kind of just ducks under his aim.
Solid. And he just like swings over and he's losing his balance a little bit. And in the meantime, Randir kind of gets up to here. Still solidly that. And he's going to take a shot at the one right behind you, Hum. Oh, he didn't have advantage, but that doesn't matter. He still has advantage. Yeah. It's that much. And that much. And he cries out in pain, but is not downed yet. Alright. Zachariel, it's your turn.
Alright. I don't think I can... Let's see. Alright, I'm just gonna dash right up behind this guy.
Alright. Tadias.
Let's see. That guy looks well taken care of, and the rest of them... Is this one where he actually is, or is he coming back?
That is where he actually is.
Let's get him then. And from that range... He's just out of there, so I will bonus action to get all up in his face. And I guess we'll just...
That's a hit. 9 damage.
And one more for the show.
That's a hit. And, sorry, you kill him.
Stab him up, cut him up, and then just kind of just like stand here, look in the trees for the rest of them.
Alright. And on that note, you do hear a little bit of rustling way off in the tree line. But you don't see anybody yet. As I take care of this. Okay. He's dead. Please move her thing. He's dead. Delia. Bottom of the order. What do? You do anything?
I will... I guess I'll ready my magic missiles for when one of the feared ones manages to get back in range.
Okay. That one's dead. That one's got a ways. Oh, he's still feared. Fuck. Alright. He
He saw
saves.
spiders, didn't he?
He saves, and he's gonna take 4 rounds to get back.
Froghemoth.
Okay, so here's the... Well, hold on. Alright. Feared. Alright, so this one, back to here. Who's next? Oh, that's him, okay. And he's... Illyria, do you do the same?
Oh, wait, what? The same?
Do you wait? Because there's this one here who's still alive, and then that's all you can see right now who's still kicking. The other ones are like way off in the trees.
Yeah, I'm going to try shooting that one.
Okay.
And this time I'm going to try and use a poisoned arrow again.
Okay. Alright, you kill him. It goes right through his neck and beds into his skull. And crumples to the ground. Right in front of Zachriel and Hum. Alright, so at this point...
Okay, I'm also going to go over by Rendir.
Okay. Alright, so at this point, there's 4 of them left that are just coming, like they're rustling through the tree line. What do you guys do to take care of them? In the interest of time, we'll just narrate the rest of this. So at first these 2 guys come out.
I'm just gonna shoot them in their face.
You're just gonna pepper them until as they come out.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
I'm gonna pick up his buddy and throw it into his buddy.
All right. And then they
Hoping to knock him down like a bowling pin.
Almost. Yeah, I'll just crumple him up a little bit and try to get the spin on him.
about 10 seconds later, this guy pops out. And then you all just dogpile him, right?
Yes.
and then about 40 seconds later, this guy pops out.
And we pepper him with arrows and knives and bad stuff.
All that stuff. All right. So, encounter's over. Let's take 5.
Alright.
Okie dokie.
All right. Everyone's here. So, last orc goes down, and it is quiet. What do you do?
Can I pick up one of these great axes?
Totally.
Can she, though?
I mean, she can lift the haft off of the ground.
Okay.
You see Randir enter the clearing and start to look around, his bow sort of half drawn.
So what was that thing there? I think I
Oh,
stepped
that's
away
gone.
from there.
That was a spiritual weapon.
Oh,
The priest cast a spiritual weapon, and that was just
I'm
symbol for it.
gonna tie this guy up.
Okay. Randir starts to look around.
I imagine I'd be looking around the bodies, seeing if there's anything of value
Okay.
or of importance.
We'll get back to that. What is Tadias doing?
Let's see. I mean, we just kind of cleared the area. I'm mostly just looking to see if there's any signs of more of them.
All right. Is Delia doing anything?
Delia wants to go and find the gloves, or at least look in the tent where the one orcs
Okay.
did the business.
So you waltz over to that tent, and everything is covered in this nasty slime. Even the doctor guy, but you sort of get there and you can see him laying dead on the ground, with a couple of arrows in him and the spots where you hit him with magic missiles and such. And you do see bleached white gloves on his hands. They look kind of leathery, yet they look supple at the same time.
Alright, I will very gingerly take them off of him.
Okay. It's simple enough.
And then get the heck out of there, because I can't imagine it smells very good.
Oh no, it's nasty.
Hum chases down Reindeer and says, "Are there?"
So when you get up to him, you hear noises coming from the fallen tree.
Mike, I moved this guy over to the tree.
Yes,
the one in the
yes. I'll move this dude. Sorry. There you go. And he looks at you and he kind of gestures for you to follow. and you get to this fallen tree, and those little gray circles they're young. And Randir says, they're young.
Can I see them?
Yeah, you can. They're right. They're
Okay.
on the little things of like dried leaves and such.
Oh, dynamic lighting has it, so we can't see.
They're not. They're here. You should be able to see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, little gray circles.
So it's the orcs young.
Yep.
I'm not killing babies.
Randir wastes no time. He draws his.
I grab a hold of him immediately.
What?
We're not killing their
I
young.
fail, but
I mean,
Did they
you touch him and he like looks at you. Like he doesn't like he's not resisting you. He looks at you.
if you kill these young, the Guardians will have one less soldier.
If we leave them here, they're just going to die from exposure.
Negative. I only knocked out the war chief. I tied him to the tree.
Randir looks at you coldly, and then he looks over at the tied up orc.
I don't care what your beef is with these people. I understand that the orcs can be cruel and callous, but these are infants. They are innocent. They do not have to grow up to be like their own.
Stares at you in silence for a long time, and he says, "There are wisdom to your words." He looks back at the, and like these babies are just chilling. Like they're like they didn't even make a sound during the combat. Like they're just there. I mean, they're alive, but they seem content. He looks back at them. He looks at you, and he takes the arrow that he had in his hand and he puts it in his quiver in his that's on his back. Shoulders his bow. He says, "I've been at this for a long time, as you may know." He says, he nods and he kind of like looks you up and down and he says, "It's good to get some fresh perspective." He looks over at the one you tied up. He says, "Are you going to leave him tied up there?"
Well, I had planned to attempt to speak to it. Hopefully it knows some form of... Perhaps warn it to move further into the forest, away from the humans and what they're doing with the destruction of the forest.
He says, "Oh, you can certainly try."
Well, we've got great we have great leverage.
Do your
is true.
people not have a nursery? You can't raise them, teach them your ways?
He says, "Once we finish with the burial of," and he gestures to Illyria, her brother, "I will speak with the High Stewards. For indeed, you do bring up an interesting point, and this is maybe the third time I've come across young. You hear a bird go like, whoo, in the background. He leaves them there and he starts walking back to the tree. What do you do?
I just let out a long sigh.
Actually, before we go to the tree, Illyria, you have been looking around and you find some interesting things, specifically a weapon type. They have the axes and they have the regular javelins, but you find javelins that have these gnarled and barbed tips.
Yeah, I'm gonna take them over to Zachria because he likes. But you've been collecting like all these javelins, right?
I feel like sometimes I'm a walking armory, yes.
How thoughtful.
Do you want these?
So here's what they are, and I'll just show this to you guys, and then I'll read it out. Brutal javelins. Javelin is a gnarled and barbed tip. If you hit a corporeal creature that isn't immune to the grapple condition with the javelin, becomes stuck within the target. While stuck, for every 10 feet the creature moves, it takes 1d4 piercing damage. As part of the attack action, you can attempt to rip the javelin out of the creature's body by making a contested athletics versus athletics or acrobatics. If successful, the creature takes 1d6 plus your strength mod slashing damage, and the javelin is destroyed.
Think you'll have some use for this?
I'm sure I could find something to do with it.
There's 10 of them.
Oof.
Tadias, do you think you could throw one of these?
You can throw a lot of things. These things look pretty gnarly, though.
I mean the javelins, not the babies.
I mean, I could technically make the babies weapons as well, but I didn't think you'd enjoy that.
Hum goes up to the babies and starts cooing it.
When you do that, they kind of grunt back.
She makes a silly face at them and starts dancing around.
Ah.
Try a tune, Hum. Maybe they'll dance.
Hum pulls out her lute and starts playing for them.
They kind of move their bodies a little bit, but they don't seem that interested. Alright. Zachariah walks over to the unconscious orc leader guy. Does anyone go with him?
Hum is entertaining the babies.
Okay. What's your game plan here?
I'm just gonna slap him away.
All right.
Not like roughhouse. I'm just trying to, like tap him on the side of the head until he.
Alright. Are his hands behind his back, or are they in front?
His hands are behind his back and
Okay.
tied down to his ankles, so
Okay.
he's kind of like
Hog-tied, but sitting on his knees? Or sitting on his ankles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he slowly comes around and looks up and sees you and just immediately starts struggling.
Oh no! Wait, and I'm gonna get down on his level, so I'm not like standing up.
He looks you in the eye with just sheer rage and aggression.
Hello there. Do you speak? Common.
He answers you back in a language that you don't understand, comprised of guttural grunts and groans.
I think you can take that as a no.
I'm gonna... Zachariah, if you give me 10 minutes, I can cast Comprehend Languages, and we can talk to him that way.
Sure, he's not going anywhere.
Alright.
Alright.
10 minutes.
Hum is dancing around at this point, making silly faces and dancing. And
So you're doing that, and to your chagrin, you're finding that they seem very disinterested. It seems like whoever was raising them before didn't really give that sort of spark to them.
she just keeps doing it.
Okay. 10 minutes pass without any incident. So you have Comprehend Languages up. And you start to hear the vulgar curses that the orc is slinging at Zachriel and you, Delia.
Well, that's not very nice.
And it doesn't bear repeating, as it is quite vulgar and graphic.
My mother's not one of those.
Can you speak back to him with Comprehend Languages?
I don't know.
What's the spell description say?
It says, for the duration, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You also understand any written language that you see, but you must be touching the surface on which the words are written.
Yeah, you can't talk back to him in his language. Yeah, that's tongues. That's a way different spell, way higher level. So you can hear all this, but you can't communicate back.
Well, Zachariel,
Yes.
what he's saying does not bear repeating.
Well, I imagine so. We just stormed into his camp and killed all of his people.
I'm not sure if you're going to get anywhere with this guy.
Don't worry. All right, listen here, Orc. Me, Zachriel, Zach, Z.
Are you doing the thing where you're pointing to yourself and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, Zachriel, and then he spits.
Yeah. Don't need to spit, but
I like him.
and I will just you, Orc, and I spit on the ground.
And he just kind of growls.
Name. This could take a while, do
Alright, so in the interest of... Well, it's
I
going
was
to be a
gonna
lot of back
go
and
up
forth.
to Rendir and ask him, since they live, close to these guys, is there anybody in his back at home that knows any sort of orc language?
He says, actually, he does know a little bit. He says, I know a few phrases myself, but there are some of my some of my companions that know the language. When I return to our priory after I show you the bright leaf tree, I'm going to inform them of what we've done here, and I'll see if we can raise these children right.
Well, I glance over to Zachariel. Looks like he's having a bit of trouble communicating.
I'll see what I can do. He strides over.
Name. What is your name, Orc? Me, Zachriel. Name.
Randir says in Orcish to the guy, what is your name? And he says in Orcish, but it would translate across all languages. He says, Orig. O-R-I-G.
Okay, Orig. This is no longer your home. You must go back to wherever main camp is. Back away from this part of forest.
Rendir is he's looking up and he's trying to translate in his head, and then he says in Orcish, and Delia understands him to say need go further inside tree. The orc looks at him confused, and then says, "Dumb elf," and then spits.
I'm not sure you translated that right, Randir.
He thinks again, and then he gets it right that time. And at this sort of dialogue, the orc, who is a martial person, kind of straightens up a bit, looks up at Zachariel, looks up at Randir, and he looks about and he says, "Young."
Safe.
He again takes a sweep around, looking at, the devastation here and all of your statures, and he says, in Orcish, he says, "We'll go."
Well, he said he'll
And don't
go.
come back.
Not fightly, because there's no word for peacefully in Orcish.
All right. Well, I mean, with that, I'll step away.
Are you untying him?
Yeah, I'm gonna untie him. Yeah.
What did you do with his weapon?
I didn't take his weapon. He's a warrior.
Okay.
I respect that.
So you do that, and
I untie him and I hand him back his weapon.
he looks at you, and he looks around again, and he, in two hands, he offers the sword to you. And it's kind of a crummy sword, but it's nonetheless the only sword in this camp.
I will accept it and I'll bow toward.
And he just kind of gives a polite, and then he looks over at the tree, and you see him starting to trudge toward you peacefully, and he's unarmed. And
I stop playing and step away from the children.
And he goes to collect them. And like he arms all of them. There's 8, and he arms all of them. And then he starts making his way this way. First he takes a look into this tent, and then you see him go, ugh, and then he just starts to walk away. Do you let him walk into the tree line?
Yeah, I don't so.
All right. He walks into the tree line.
See, Randir, I know it may be hard, but simple diplomacy, a show of force first, but diplomacy can work.
He nods and he says, "You've given me much to think about, Zachriel."
Well, hopefully you can take those thoughts and bring them back to your brethren, and perhaps have discussion.
He clasps his hand on your shoulder and he says, "I plan on it." And then he drops his arm to his side.
Delia's gonna bury the gloves at the base of the tree.
All right. Randir looks up, and it's been about a half hour now. And he says, "Well, then we best get moving so that we can catch the bright leaf tree at dusk."
Okay, is it a smart idea to leave these corpses out while the animals come out and scavenge?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I will not bury them.
So, you guys head out from this clear-cut orc camp. You make your way through the forest. And it starts to get dimmer the further you go. And eventually you make your way to a spot that is unassuming. But Randir walks up to the tree and he puts his hand on it, kind of feels the bark. He looks up at the leaves and he says, "Here we are." And you see that it's starting to get a little darker. You can see the shafts of light coming through at an angle now. He says, "It should be dusk in but an hour." And I know you guys definitely took the body with you.
Oh shit, the body!
Going to assume that you definitely did.
I think I would not leave it behind.
Absolutely.
Fair.
Alright, so it starts to get close to dusk, and he looks at Illyria and he says, "Did he want to be buried at dusk, like the actual burial process completed, or did he want it to start at dusk? Because if he wanted it to be finished at dusk, then you better get going, digging a hole and such."
Okay,
Zach,
so
could you take care of that?
what did I remember?
You remember that he wants to be buried near the roots of the bright leaf tree, and for the burial to finish as the sun sets and the leaves begin to glow.
Okay, I passed that on to Randir.
He says, "We best get to work." He looks at Zachriel, because he has a shovel, and he says,
Well, You may not know everything about this shovel, friend. Zach, can you make a spot?
Of course. And I'll walk
Close to
over
the
and,
roots as possible.
anyone know anything about this tree, whether the roots extend to?
Randir walks up and he kind of traces his hand along the ground. He kind of like moves some dirt away and then presses it, moves some dirt away and then presses it. And he points to a spot about 5 feet away and he says, "Here's a good spot. The roots sort of move around. It would fit this casket."
Perfect. I walk over and I press the shovel to the earth, and before I break it, I cast mold earth.
Alright, so you excavate a whole bunch of dirt. You do enough to where, it would work for the casket. And there's a hole there now. What do you do? I want you to narrate the process, somebody. Randir walks over to the air cart and he places his hands on the casket and he looks at Illyria.
Let's put him in.
So you and him pick it up and lower it into the ground, and it's in there now, and the sun starts to set, and he looks up at the tree, and it's hard to notice at first, but you see it definitely is a little bit of a glow happening, like, when you look at something that's glow in the dark and it's like, it's not glowing yet, but you can see that it's different from the dark. Does that make sense?
Yep.
The leaves are kind of like that. Randir sends a look to Zachriel.
Tadias, would you mind helping?
Yes, of course. Were we just like hand covering with the dirt?
There's nothing defined in that regard, but
Right.
yeah.
I should use my
Laura,
hands.
I think Laura's going to help out and try and dig the dirt back on.
I was talking about like lowering the casket into the hole.
Oh, I
itself.
thought we.
Oh, I had
There-
narrated
Yeah.
that they'd done it already.
I spaced out. All right, well, I'll just start shoveling back dirt onto the...
All right. 1 second here. I need to test something. Ah! What the heck? Alright, Illyria. You watch Zachriel and Tadias deposit the loose earth into the casket, and as the light of day fades to dark, your mind returns to that moment. You are a young elven child again. Altoci's arms are around you. He continues to talk from that dream you had in Forstride, and he continues on saying, "Maybe one day I won't be here." He gestures to the ground, the physical earth, the prime material. But just like the glowing leaves, after intense winters and pouring autumn rains, he pulls from the embrace and gently points to your heart. Your big brother will always be here. Illyria, the memory passes, and you feel at peace. You feel like your brother is with you. It's indiscernible how, but it's undeniable. Then you hear, or more so feel, this sort of you feel these words in your mind. I'll always be with you, and I'll protect you when you bring me to your hand. What do you do?
I imagine she's just standing there, eyes closed, a tear dripping down, kind of smiling.
Do you bring to your hand?
Yeah.
Alright. In your hand appears a longbow, weightless and translucent, as if it is made of light that diffuses through the leaves of the forest canopy. The string shimmers with the color of topaz. And you know instantly what this is, because it's special. Altoci's Presence, Longbow Special. This magic weapon is a projection of Altoci's soul that serves to protect Illyria. She can manifest it and dismiss it with an object interaction. When she manifests the weapon, it appears as a spectral longbow made of golden emerald light. If the bow is more than 10 feet away from her, it vanishes as if dismissed. Whenever she casts a spell that requires a weapon attack to hit for its effects to occur, and she uses the bow to make that attack, roll a d4 and add the results to her spell save DC for the first time a creature makes a save against the spell. You all see a longbow just appear in her hand that's kind of glowing mystically.
Illyria, that's beautiful.
I would trade it for my brother, though. But thank you, Altoci, as I look at the ground, him in the ground.
You feel a warmth in your heart when you say that.
I smile.
Randir at that point, sort of looking at the tree, and at this point the tree is starting to glow. You look up and you see its leaves is this bright blue color, and it is now getting dark.
Wonderful, Delia.
So Randir starts to move away. He says, I'm going to get a head start back to the Priory. He points south and he says, about 10 miles that way is an exit from the forest if you want the quickest way out. And as your attention is drawn in that direction, you hear a rustle in the foliage, but it's very uncontrolled, very awkward, and awkward. You hear, Do you do anything?
Look towards that way.
Does anyone do anything? Just watching what's happening?
Just watching.
Okay. Somebody bursts through the foliage and is like standing next to the tree, and like in the dim light, you see before you a man who looks exhausted and filthy. He's covered in dirt, grime, and a few cuts and scrapes. He sinks to his hands and knees as he says, "Oh gods! Oh gods! You aren't orcs!" And he's
What
just
happened?
breathing heavily. He looks up, and he says, I ran from them." He looks at you kind of wild-eyed.
Just yourself or anybody else?
I couldn't bring anyone with me. I couldn't. He says, I was in the hills. Does anyone say anything?
Who's them? Orcs?
Where?
He says, no, I had a short run-in with orcs, but, he
Is it
starts,
Lycia?
he looks
Calm
at you,
down, take a breath.
he looks at you, and his eyes go wide, and he says, her and those freaks with, and he kind of like, he shifts a bit, and he gets up off of his hands, and he's on his knees now.
I'm gonna walk over to him and give him my water skin.
The Wicker Man ritual must have started.
His eyes go wide. He says, I was going to be in it. They were going to burn me.
Wait, this is
Where?
happening now?
He says, soon. He says, I followed Lycia there, to the hills. There's this old manor. It's called Scarlet Moon Hall. They wanted me to be one of them. He says, they said, I heard them. I was told to devote myself to fire, to the flames of purification. They wanted me to burn myself, but I couldn't. So they bound me and put me next to the wicker giant. They said, I heard them. They said they would burn me and the other weak ones. The ritual is in 3 days. And that was a couple days ago. I can't remember. They said our pain would fuel the mote of Imex and it would blaze through the trees and turn the forest to ash. But I had to run to Conadir. I thought it would be something like the logging farms, that I'd be safer here than out in the open. And he takes another swig of the water skin.
Where?
He points behind him. He points behind them in the exact same direction that Randir points. He says, when I got to the forest edge, there was a camp. Well, and he kind of looks up and he's trying to remember like the experience he's been through and chronologic make it fit in time. And he says, on the path near the forest edge, there was a camp of them. They were disguised in robes, but they had the bowl symbol etched on the clasps of their cloaks. They told me, they saw me, and they told me I ought to go to the hills, that there would be a grand purification, and the forest wouldn't be safe. They didn't recognize me for having been there already, so I pretended to go back, and then I took a wide berth around them and went into the trees.
Oh,
You know we have to go and end her, right?
yeah, I do.
Of course.
And at that point, Randir, who's like listening as well with wide eyes, he says, this appears to be a serious threat. The forest is young and not ready to handle a wildfire. I will take my leave now. The chief spirits must hear of this. He paces back and forth, and he sort of mutters to himself, there won't be enough rain for another 10 days or so.
Wait, Randy.
Wait.
Yes?
Go ahead, Illyria.
Oh, we probably got the same idea. Do you want to take this fellow back with you?
My sentiments exactly.
He looks at him, and he says, what? He starts to pace a little bit. He looks troubled. He says,
It would be better for him to go with you, because we're going straight to the Scarlet Moon Manor.
Or at least to help him get somewhere safe.
he says, I will get him somewhere safe.
Yeah, Yes,
There
I
are
remember you
certain
saying you're...
orders I can find. He looks at the man and he says, I can find you a place to rest for the night, and then I can guide you out of the forest. And the man nods, and he says, thank you, thank you. And he says, well, it is... He looks up at the dark sky, and he says, well, as it is night now, I presume that you'll make camp for the night before heading out of the forest, yes? No?
Is it safe to camp here at the Brightwood tree?
He says, well, not exactly. I would maybe move into further away from it so that you're under cover of darkness, but other than that, it's about as safe as any other spot. And you see, like, his foot tapping, like he wants to boogie. He says, if you camp here and let him camp with you for the night, I will spend the rest of my time. I travel alone so I can navigate quickly through the trees. He says, I need to inform the head stewards. I will be back in the morning to escort him out of the forest.
All right.
And he's like, as you're sort of thinking about what to do, he's sort of pacing and such, and he says, there must be a plan for this. There must be a plan for this. And I want you guys to roll me perception checks. He says something sort of under his breath.
My name changed.
That's okay. Oof.
We don't hear
Zachriel. He says under his breath before he just starts to take off. He says, trailing on after he says, I hope there's a plan for this. He says, I hope Sir Samular has a plan for this. And then he starts walking away. He then crouches and he appears to pick something off the ground. He clasps his hands together, rubs them together, says in Elvish, quicken my step. And then he runs into the brush, and in just a few seconds he's gone.
Does the name Sir Samuel mean anything to you?
Yes.
Well, he was talking, but he said it under his breath before he took off.
What did he say?
He said, I hope Sir Samuel has a plan for this. Did you not hear that?
No, it was a little too quiet for me.
Perhaps he was speaking above your head.
Perhaps.
What was
Short
that?
jokes. Just what we need. Short jokes.
I'm just trying to lighten the mood.
The man is, at this point, like, laying on his back, his chest still kind of heaving because he was so out of breath.
Who is Sir Samuel?
Sarah Samuel?
No, he's Renwick's brother.
Oh.
We're supposed to find him, weren't we?
Well, I think we just found him.
Delia's furiously writing in her little notebook.
What is she writing? I want to know.
Oh, God, I don't know. Just about
Just give me a general.
that Randir is connected to Samular, and that's something that she needs to
Follow
talk
up
with
on.
Randir about.
Got it. Okay. So, you guys do anything? So right. So you're going to find a campsite away from the tree.
Yes.
All right. Man, I thought I had forest sounds for night. I don't know where they went. All right. So That's fine.
Hum is muttering under her breath about the stupid fire bitch would have to do this now.
So you guys find a spot away. And you make yourselves a camp in the undergrowth, and the man who you eventually find out his name is Hannes, and he has nothing on him. He has nothing but tattered clothes on, and he tries to make a spot for himself in the camp. And you see him as you guys start to settle down. He's kind of like, "Oh, you tiny hut, don't you?"
Yes.
Okay. Well, he's not shivering, but he kind of curls up in a fetal position.
Hum starts pressing him for more information about what happened.
Okay, what do you ask him? Let's start the scene.
So Hum looks over at him and says, "Now tell the story again. How did you end up tied up with this group?"
He says, I'm from Tomerer. I was a logger. He says, I didn't have much going on for me other than the logging work, and I saw one of Lycia's shows, and I followed her talk about going to the southern hills, and then I got there, and at first they were all very nice to me. The air's a little hazy, but everyone there seemed to be united and there with a purpose. But then things started getting strange. They were having these strange rituals where they would burn these dead bodies. I don't know where they got them. They just brought them in, and they partied essentially, and it had a strange vibe to it. And then they took me and they said, "It's time for your initiation." And I didn't understand exactly what they meant, and they gave me a hot iron and they told me to brand myself. And I didn't want to, and one of them said, "He's weak," and they took me and they bound me up. They bound me up and put me next to this wicker sculpture, this wicker giant that she talked about. And I overheard one of them, who seemed to be their leader. It wasn't Lycia, because she was still at Tomerer. He had a pipe that could make these smoke creatures, and he spoke of how to summon a mote of Imix. He says that word questioningly. And they plan to burn us in the wicker giant. And he starts to get panicked again. He starts to breathe fast.
Calm down. Calm down.
He says,
You're safe now.
I noticed...
You're safe now.
Thank you. I noticed my bonds were loosening, so when they weren't looking, I slipped out of them, and when I had the chance, I ran.
Does Delia recognize the name of the things they're going to summon, the smoke creatures, the Imic?
Roll an Arcana check. First one's for the smoke creatures. Definitely not unheard of. But exactly what he's talking about, you're not super sure.
Okay.
We didn't get his name, did we?
You did. His name's Hannes.
Hannes or Hannes?
Let me... The short or long, I don't remember my vowels anymore. Hannes. And, roll another Arcana check for the phrase Mote of Imix. You don't know.
Well,
How many are there at this camp?
He says, well, it varies from maybe 10 of them to 30 or 40 of them. I don't know where they go. There's some... They seem to come out of the tower that the manor... The manor is mostly ruins now. It's a tower with scaffolding along it. He says, I see some of them come out of it and go into it, but I don't know where they go after that, or if... some of them leave in groups. It looks like they're walking through the Silch Road.
Does that name ring a bell to me? The Itsu or whatever?
Imix?
Imix? Yeah.
It actually sires a little bit of, you hear that word and you feel sick and angry, but it's not coming from the, shovel. It's coming from you, and you're not sure why. When you hear the word, you just kind of tighten in anger for a short moment. Like you're recognizing an enemy. A long-known enemy.
Okay.
He kind of looks at Hum. Sort of like, do you need anything else from me? And does she go on? Is there anything else you want to get out of this guy? Or
He mentioned smoke, right?
he mentioned that there was a man who seemed to be their leader, that had a pipe that these smoke creatures would come out of and harass him and the other weak ones.
Did the man have a name?
Yes. His name... I'll make sure I say it right the first time. His name was Elazar.
Is that name familiar to any of us?
It is. It is to Hum. She heard it from Gizo when he first told her about that weird ritual that Lycia had apparently been talking about in Forstride. That Elazar would burn away the haze and bring back the rain.
Well, rest. We'll move on tomorrow morning.
He says, thank you. And then he kind of just like immediately collapses. And this is a good place to stop. We'll continue next week.
All right.
So Joy, if you're still listening, thank you.
Hey, Mike, can
Hi,
you spell
Joy.
Imix for me?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
Okay. So I was right. Cool.
Woo. All right. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye. I need to download the VOD. Don't let me forget to download the VOD. Bye.
Bye.